Today we're going to take a special look into my collection. This is something that I've been hearing murmurs about. There's some interest in there for people to look at this collection or collections like this. So let's get right into it. Welcome to the most passionate content for card collectors on YouTube and possibly the whole entire internet. As usual, I am your host, Jake Roy, 90s B-Ball Cards here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X occasionally, and still slacking on that good old TikTok. But here we are today to talk about the top 10 cards in my collection that are my favorite. As I alluded to, this is something I've been hearing some murmurs about. People are interested in hearing about not the most valuable cards or the most rare cards, but the favorite cards that people have in their collection. So here we are to talk about it. I think, if I'm going to give credit, this is something I heard the idea, or I got the idea from a episode of the crossover with Josh, Chris, and Christina from Card Ladder, so I'm not going to take credit for having this idea. One of the question askers actually asked a question about this, so that's where the genesis was. I don't remember which episode it was, but that's where I got the idea from. So I thought this is going to be fun, and it was very fun going through my collection and trying to pick out the 10 favorite. I could do many more. I could do more top 10 videos of the next 10 and the next 10 and the next 10. It is tough to pick through because all 10 of these cards, really, I could make a case for being my favorite card, but we'll go into why they're in this list and some of the components that made me pick to put them where they are on that list. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the fire that makes up the top 10 favorite cards in my PC. All right, here we go. Let's jump right in with the top 10 favorite cards from my PC. So the first one here we're going to go with is the 99-2000 Topps MVP promotion of Penny. We're going to show both because there's two, but really the Magic is the one that I'm keen in on here. This one might be tinged with a little bit of recency bias. This is the most recent big pickup, one that I've been hunting for many years. I think I missed one that sold on eBay, I think in 2017 if I remember correctly, and I have been hunting for it ever since. These are short printed to just 100 copies. It's spelled out all in the back. I didn't know that until a few years back when Kyle from Wax Museum was educating me on how scarce these truly are. I always wanted one, but after having learned about how scarce they are, I wanted them, all of them, that much more. So those were redeemed if a player won Player of the Week. I don't think Penny won any of those in 1999. So there should be 100 in existence. There were 100 printed. Assuming that none got damaged or thrown away, there should still be 100 out there, unlike some of the other players that might have won an award and they'd be redeemed. So took me a while. I finally found one that popped up on eBay. A fellow collector shared it with me, and I was able to reach out to that person on Instagram or some other platform, and we were able to strike a deal. He was happy that they were going to another collector. He had had them for many years and just wanted to move them to make room for other cards in his collection. So really happy to have gotten that one, and getting both of them together made it a little bit sweeter, but I was really focused on that Orlando Magic one, so really happy to get that one. Number 9. This is one I picked up at the Atlantic City National from another collector in a deal that I did not expect to get. So this is the 98.99 Skybox Molten Metal Fusion Titanium. Some people call them heavy metal. These are kind of one of those that's got a lot of mystique and mystery around it because it's one of those sets that the first half of it, the base set, is serial numbered to 250, and the second half is not serial numbered. And then there's this gold parallel, really, is what it comes down to, that for the first half they're serial numbered with laser etched serial numbering. You've probably seen like the Jordan, the Kobe floating around out there. Pennies in that second portion of the set, so the gold one does not have that serial number. They're very rare, and because of that first set being so rare and so sought after, the second set is starting to get a lot more eyeballs, and the prices are ticking up. So I was able to get this one in a deal before they really got to the prices that they're at right now. Really happy to have done so. I really love this set for the aesthetics of it. It's a lot like the platinum portraits that you might remember from Fleer Metal, but having a color picture of the player on there, I think adds a lot to it, and having the player's name also laser cut out is really cool. I remember getting one of these. I think I had the Gary Payton back in the day, and I always thought how cool it would be to have the penny. So, get the penny, and then I learned that there was a parallel version. I wanted that, and I really love having that gold color on here. It really pops. I mean, they both look beautiful, but the gold color adds something to this that I think, it would just, it really does something for me. It's one of my favorites for sure. All right, next one we've got here. This is the 97-98 Upper Deck game jersey. This is the away jersey. You may remember I picked this up at the Chicago National last year, so in 2023, and this has been one of those cards that I've wanted in my collection since I was a little kid, and this was the #1 card on my want list last year for the National, and I was able to get it, and I wasn't able to get it without help from friends, and I think that's one of the things that makes this all that much more special. Obviously, it's special because I've always wanted it, but having it been one that a friend found, sent me a message, told me where he was, I ran over there as quickly as possible, saw it. It has 2 of the white stripes, which I really like. It's definitely got some damage on it. I love that it's in an old Beckett slab. This thing was slabbed over 20 years ago, which I just really like it. I like the old Beckett slabs with the subgrades on the back. I don't love the paper flip, but I can see why, with the surface grade getting a 4, it makes sense. And it's going to stay in this slab because I love the history that goes with it. I love how long it's been encapsulated. It's just one of those, I wanted the card. These things are notorious for having, creases and stuff like that. It's not like every single one. There are definitely copies that have gemmed, but there are plenty that didn't. So it was not a deterrent for me. It's one of those that if there's damage that takes away from the eye appeal, that's something that does bother me. This one does not. It seems like most of that damage is right within the black of the jersey patch window. So again, I could go on and on about this card because it is one of my favorites, and it has some great memories tied to it from childhood and from the pickup. So really happy to have gotten this, really happy for the help, and yeah, let's keep moving. Next one, we've got another jersey card, but very different. You might be surprised to see this one on the list. So this is the 2000-2001 Upper Deck game jersey auto. So this is one that I got as a gift from my brother when we were kids, in fact. So this was the first ever jersey card I got of Penny Hardaway, and getting it as a gift. He's got that first year Suns uniform. Obviously, I love the Magic stuff, but that first year Suns I like as well, and it being 2-color adds a lot to this card. These are fairly scarce. They're not serial numbered. Having the auto on there as well. Not only was it the first jersey card I ever got of Penny, it was the first auto card I ever got of Penny. So it was not graded when I got it. It was sitting in a top loader. So you probably saw the video where I sent this off to SGC. I really wanted to get it encapsulated. I wanted it to be something that was protected, and I was interested in seeing how it would be slabbed with SGC. I'm glad I got the Auto 10. That's one of the things I wanted, and I was actually surprised it got an 8.5. I think I was expecting a little bit lower, but I was happy with an 8.5. I'm not going to argue with them. So yeah, this is one that I just love for the memories. I love it because it's the first of both the jersey and the auto in my Penny collection, and the memories getting it from my brother is really sweet as well. Next up, we've got the 97-98. This is the Top Stadium Club Triumvirate. This is the Illuminator parallel of the Triumvirate insert set. So this is one that I got at the Atlantic City National, and one that I did not expect. It's one that's been on my short list for a long time at that point, but these are so scarce. Estimated print runs are less than 100 copies of each of these. They're not serial numbered. There's nothing to really confirm or deny that estimated print run out there. But also it being slabbed, I like my Beckett slabs, it being a Gem 9.5. I wish it had the subgrades. This is one of those that somebody, for whatever reason, sent it off to get graded with Beckett and didn't get the subgrades. That bothers me. I'll try to rectify that at some point in the future. But this is just a gorgeous card, one that really surprised me to have seen at the National Atlantic City when I did stumble upon it. I remember camping out at that dealer's booth because they were busy. They had a large booth. They had a lot of different kinds of cards. They had a lot of interest in their cards. So I just, I saw it and I was trying to get the dealer's attention. He was working on a couple other deals. So I eventually just put my backpack down and I just stood right in front of where this card was. And there were a couple other cards I was interested in. It wasn't just this card, but this was the main one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm leaving with that card. You know, they didn't have a price tag on it, so when I asked, they gave me the price, and luckily I had a card in my bag that I valued at the same point. They valued the card that I had in my bag at the same price that I had, so we were able to make a 1-for-1 deal that I was very happy with. I believe, yes, so the card that I would trade this one straight up for was the 98.99 Topps Gold Label Black Label of Jordan, a PSA 10 that I had bought raw and graded and got a 10 on. So very happy that that worked out for both of us. You know, I'd make that trade 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100. As many as you give me that trade, I'd make it again and again. So really happy to have gotten this. Glad that it was in really good shape. Glad that it's encapsulated. It's probably going to be in a different slab at some point. So really happy with that. The next one, we've got 96.97 E-X2000. This is Cut Above of Penny, and this is one of those cards, the insert set, that I dreamt about having one of. I'd never seen one in person. I'd seen the pictures in the Beckett. Obviously, I'd seen a lot of pictures of the Jordan, you know, the Iverson, and the Penny. I loved how it looked, or how it looked in my mind's eye with the hollow foil and the blue jersey, and I love the full-length picture of Penny. You get that first signature shoe of Penny also showing up there in that picture. The die cut on the top, the hollow foil, everything just is incredible. I didn't know until I got one in hand that the letters on the bottom are a little bit embossed, so that's also really cool, really 90s. Love that. And this is also one that I think is interesting because I won this auction during one of the PWCC live auction that we did. So, you know, I think the first three, we did the first one with the Jordan PMG green, and then there were two others that we did. I think we were the first ones to do the live auction. And this is one that I won from somebody else I was selling on eBay at that same time. Really happy to have gotten it. And I might slab this up in the future. So let me know down in the comments if you think I should grade this and who I should grade it with. You know, because it's one of those that I typically go with PSA if it's something that I might sell in the future. This is not something that I'm going to sell in the future. So, you know, it's one that I've always debated whether or not I want to get it slabbed just to protect it. But I'm just not sure if I want to or if I really need to. And who I'd send it out with. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. All right, the next one, there's two that I have to show. I'll show the first one first, and then we'll get to the second portion of it. So it's the 93-94 Topps Finest Refractor Rookie of Penny. This is in a PSA 9. This is a gift also from my brother. You know, my brother gives me a lot of really generous card gifts, and he knows what I like. So this is really special because it's a gift from my brother and all that, but it also pairs up beautifully with the first ever graded card I got. So the base version that my father gave me as a Christmas gift many, many years ago. You can see these are both in old slabs, old PSA slabs. You flip them over on the back, you can see that they're not the exact same vintage. I think the refractor is a little bit of a newer one. I think that hologram might have been an older thing, but you might know more about how to determine the generation of these than I do. But love having both of these in PSA 9s, and the fact that they're both gifts, you know, this one being, the base one being the first one, the first graded card I ever got, getting as a Christmas gift, and then my brother years later following up and getting me the refractor that he knew I wanted and needed, and deciding, you know, he intentionally got a PSA 9 to go with the one that my father had got me. So really sweet memories there. Love those cards, you know, cards that any Penny collector is going to want, the refractor, and to have those memories to go along with it is nice. The next one here, 99-2000 Topps Stadium Club Chrome First Day Issue Refractor. It's a mouthful, I know. This is also in a BGS 10, which adds to it and the story, but this is the card that I coveted, dreamt about finding ever since the day that my father gave me the Rod Strickland for Christmas back in probably 2000 or 2001. I don't know where he found it, how he found it, but he found it, and I thought it was so cool that it was numbered to 25. Just really, I thought it was a cool card, and I knew I had to get the Penny. I didn't care that he was in the Suns uniform. We've talked about it before. I don't mind that first-year Suns uniform, especially because there's no other options for this card. But it being numbered to 25, you know, it's incredible. And the way that I got it is it showed up on eBay from a person that I didn't know at the time. I've gotten to know much better since then, but it showed up on eBay, and I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get that? I think a day or two after it showed up on eBay, I got back a PSA order, and in that PSA order, I was shocked to find that the Fleer Metal base rookie that I sent away of Kobe Bryant got a PSA 10. So luckily enough for me, I was able to find the person who listed this on eBay on Instagram, talk to them. They're a card collector, through and through. So they were happy to make a trade with me. And when they saw that I had that Kobe Bryant, they said, yeah, they'd do that trade straight up. So very happy to have gotten that. This is a pop one. There are none higher. I don't think there's any PSA 10s. There's no black labels. So it's one of those that it's going to stay in this slab. I love it. It's a card that I would have wanted. I would have made that trade if the card was raw. But having it, knowing it, that it's in this condition, I love a Beckett slab. So, it just added more to it. And it's a fun story to tell for a card that, the way that I got it, and a card that I'd wanted since, pretty much I knew that it existed. Number 2 here is the 98.99 UD Choice. This is the StarQuest Gold. This is one, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I've talked about this card a lot. So this is one I had wanted for years and years and years, going all the way back to 1998, honestly. When my father would get us box after box after box of UD Choice, he really liked that set. He was enamored with it, and there were 2 cards that we just, dreamt about what it could have looked like. And those were the Prime Choice Reserve parallels of the base and the StarQuest Golds. Now, when we opened those boxes, we would hit, the base StarQuest Blues, we would get the 2-star Greens, and we even got a couple of 3-star Reds, including my brother's famous Jordan that he pulled, and he still has in his collection. But we always dreamt about what would those 4 stars look like. And the main reason was there were no pictures in the Beckett, and they were listed as 4 stars. And, you'd flip it over on the back and you'd see the 4 stars. As you started getting up, especially into the 3-star, you could see the spot missing for the 4-star. So we knew the 4-star existed. And I don't even think that the Beckett listed that it was serial number to 100 at the time when it first came out. It might have listed it. I'm not positive. I can't remember. But we knew that there was a 4-star, and we wanted to know what that looked like. And we did not know until years later when we finally found a picture online. And, it's been one that I'd wanted even before I saw what it looked like. But after knowing it was gold, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Some people call these almost the gold PMGs because it's got so much gold foil, and there was never a gold foil PMG, like they did in '97. So, it's gotten a lot of attention. This is one that I was able to find a collector in Texas. Actually, I didn't find them. They found me. Because I had talked about this so much, they had pulled this back in 1999. And had it in their collection ever since, and they had decided it was time to let it go. So they gave me a sweetheart of a deal because they knew it was going to a good forever home. So I was happy to get that deal done. They sent it over, and I sent it in with a Beckett submission. And, again, it's one that I just wanted to have encapsulated. I wanted to have protected. And because of the, delicate nature of the edges, you can see there's a little bit of chipping already, which is very common with these. Getting it in a Beckett holder with that sleeve around it is what I wanted to do. I felt as though that would protect it the best way. So it wasn't about the grade. Getting a 7 is fine. I was hoping for an 8, 8.5, but, I knew that was a stretch. 8.5 was really a stretch, to be completely honest. It was really about protecting it. So, after having dreamt about it, and then the way that the card found me, made it all that much sweeter. So this is my number 2 most favorite card. Before we get to number 1, let's go with a couple of honorable mentions, and I'll tell you more about those. First honorable mention, you might be looking at this saying, what in the world is going on here? It looks like it was ruined. This is a card that was painted by those folks over at the Currency Project. So I had reached out to them. We had been, mutual admirers of each other's work for a while. And I had asked them, about the idea of sending them a couple of cards to add to their project. So they were happy to do that. I sent them 2. One of them they decided to send back to me for my own collection, and one of them they put up as part of their project, and it went up on eBay. So this is one that I talked to them that I thought would be really cool because this is the key ingredients gold from 97, 98. Fleer. It is an acetate card, a gold acetate card, so I think it's really cool how they added so much color to it with the paint. And when you flip it over on the back, you can see that paint come through in a really cool, almost like a fire-stitched piece of fabric. It is just a really cool look. I love how it came out. I think that they're really happy with how it came out as well. One of the artists there, their preferred medium is acetate, as far as I am aware. So I think that this is something that they, when they got it in hand, they knew what to do with it. They had a plan in their mind. So just really happy with how this came out. I really love how cool that looks on both sides, really, and the story to go along with it. The second honorable mention, in the similar vein, this is a custom that I had done by Card Killer. So this is one you might remember from the 2021 National in Chicago, where he presented it to me. So I had reached out to him. I had said I had admired his work for a while. I thought it would be really cool to get a custom penny piece done. So, we talked about it for a little bit. He said, yep, let's do something. And I sent him over the card. This was a card of penny with a piece of a hardwood. It was a manufactured patch of hardwood, so it wasn't one that had any tie to any history or any specific game. And collegiate cards of penny are not my most favorite thing. It was a card that I gotten in a lot, so I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it in my collection then. When we started talking about cards, he was saying how he usually liked working with thicker cards. It was easier for him to work with those, so it seemed like an obvious choice. And then he surprised me with, using that patch window to put my logo in there for the YouTube channel. I thought that was really cool, and again, something that blew me away. I did not expect that. So he gave me the custom coffin that it goes in. Just a really cool piece. I think it came out beautifully, and just really happy with it. I think it's one of the most gorgeous cards I have in my collection. But some people don't love art cards. I think there's a time and a place for them. I think this was the right way to go about it for this one. Just really happy with that. All right, the number one card, my most favorite card in my collection, it's got to be the 97-98. This is the E-X2000 Jambalaya in a BGS 9. This is the highest graded BGS 9. The reason I say that is because if the edges were to be just a half a grade higher, this would have been a min gem card. So, love that. And the trade that I did at the National, it's one that's definitely received some criticism, but it's one that I would make again and again and again, because this has been, ever since these cards came out, the Jambalayas were the card that I wanted in my collection, the penny specifically, because he's my PC guy. So this was my number one card until I had finally gotten into my collection. So you're seeing a theme. A lot of these cards were my number one want, desire, wish, until I got them in my collection. This was the first one of all of those. So this was the number one. Again, as soon as I knew that this existed, this was higher on my list than the StarQuest Gold, higher on the list than the UD Game Jersey, higher on the list than the Triumvirate Illuminator, all of them. This was the highest card, the most desirable card for me in my collection as a kid, and it continued until the day I got it. And that's why it's number one, because it's still my favorite. Even though I have it now, it's not my number one want because I have it. It's my number one favorite. It's just a beautiful card, a beautiful application of technology, really a 90s design through and through, having that mini lenticular, hollow, honeycomb, whatever you want to call it, having that really cool and unique die cut, not being serial numbered, so there's a lot of speculation about what the print run is. Having a full-length picture of Penny, and the Jambalaya theming where he's actually going for a dunk or a jam, if you will. Not every card in the set is like that. Most of them try to be as close to that as possible, but this one actually executing on that. Having his second ever signature shoe. This was my favorite of his signature shoes, for a very long time. The foam posit quickly replaced it as soon as I saw those, but I remember seeing these on the court from some friends when I was a kid, and I remember being like, what are those? I have to have those. Those are so cool. So, there's just so much with this card that I love. It's beautifully executed in the photo that they picked, the technology, the design work. It all comes together, and it's in great condition as well. These are not always in good condition, so that's an added cherry on top. So that's the number one on my list. Alright, so there you got it. My top 10 favorite cards in my PC. I think it's a fairly diverse group outside of the fact that they're all Penny Hardaway cards. Some are raw, some are graded, some of them are PSA, BGS, or SGC. So, you know, I did ask some questions about some of those raw cards, if you think I should get them graded, where I should get them graded. So let me know your thoughts. I'm always open to your thinking on that type of stuff. Some of those are getting to the value where it might be almost malfeasance not to have them graded at some point in the future. So I might have to do that. It might really make the most sense for me. So, you know, again, this was really fun putting this together. If you want to see my top 10 favorites of other portions of my PC or more of my Penny PC, and again, my favorites, not the top 10, you know, based on the value of the cards, let me know that down in the comments. Some of them might be very similar. Some of them might be very different. You never know. Honestly, it's something I don't think deeply about until I'm sitting down and making the list and really having to pick through all those cards in my collections, which ones would make that. So it'd be interesting if there is some more interest out there. Again, this was a little bit of an experiment, a little bit of an idea that I got from somebody else, so I'm really curious to hear your thoughts and your feedback. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing, hit that bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos dropping once or so a week based on how I've got time. We've got looks into my PC, 90s pack openings, occasional collector interviews, occasional grading reveals, occasional show reviews, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.